Azadeh Haidaripur, the mother of Amir Moradi, the passenger of seat number 4A on Flight PS752 that was shot down by the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps. 3 unbearable years have passed from a crime that is unprecedented in the history of aviation. We were thrust onto a difficult path, and all we. The grieving families of the victim could do has been to unite and fight to bring the criminals to justice. We gather today to remember and honor all loved ones who perished so tragically. We gather today to stand in solidarity with our fellow compatriots in Iran who courageously stand in the face of tyranny with one voice calling, woman, life, freedom. I welcome you all who have gathered here tonight, and I thank you for standing with us over the past 3 years. We cherish your love and compassion as we continue on our journey for justice. Thank you.
Vladimir Haponenko, 50. Alevsky Naumkin, 42. Sergei Khomenko, 48. Katerina Stadnik, 27. Igor Matkov, 34. Maria Mikituk, 24. Denis Lichno, 24. Valeria Ufcharuk, 28. Yuliya Solohop, 25. Muhammad Abbas Purqadi, 33. Mujtaba Abbas Nejad, 26. Sayyid Mehran Abtahi Forushani, 37. Maryam Aghamiri, 46. Iman Aghabali, 28. Mutahhare Ahmadi, 8. Mohsen Ahmadi, 5. Sakine Ahmadi, 30. Ramtin Ahmadi, 9. Mitra Ahmadi, 46. Mahsa Amirli Ravi, 30. Farid Araste, 32. ارشیا ارباب بهرامی 19
اوین ارسلانی 29 محمد حسین اسدیلاری 23 زینب اسدیلاری 21 امیر اشرفی حبیب آبادی 28 محمود عطار 69 رجا آزادیان 41 غنیمت اژدری 36 مهربان بدیعی اردستانی 18 سمیرا بشیری 29 محمد امین بیروتی 29 نگار برقعی 30 شکوفه چوپان نژاد 56 دلارام داداش نژاد 26 مژگان دانشمند 43 علی اصغر دیرانی 74 حمید رضا داوودی اصل 52 کیان جوادی اصل 17 اردلان ابن الدین حمیدی 48 کامیار ابن الدین حمیدی 15 نیلوفر ابراهیم 34 بهناز ابراهیمی خویی 45 شاهرخ اقبالی بازفت 59 شهزاد اقبالی بازفت 8
3 years later, justice prevails, the third anniversary of the downing of Flight PS752. The downing of Flight PS752 represents yet another link in the chain of crimes that have victimized the Iranian people. 176 innocent lives were lost on the cold morning of January 8, 2020. In an unprecedented example of state crimes and aviation history, the Islamic Revolutionary Guards shot down Ukrainian Flight PS752 only 3 minutes after takeoff from the Tehran International Airport. Thus began a painful journey for the victims' surviving family members who deserve justice through a transparent, impartial trial. What happened? Why did it happen? Who are the real perpetrators of such a crime? What is our collective responsibility to help put an end to such inhumanity? 3 years later, the families of the victims of Flight PS752 have no answers to these questions. The doomed destiny of Flight PS752 posed a serious challenge to the free world that must finally live up to its values. So far, the responsibility has fallen on the shoulders of hundreds of mourning family members who lost their loved ones to keep justice and human rights at the forefront of the fight against tyranny. Within hours of the downing of Flight PS752, the Iranian government set in motion a machinery of deceit, lies, and distortions. Their domestic propaganda machine and foreign apologists and operatives were mobilized to whitewash the crime. After 3 days of denial and only under international pressure, the Islamic Revolutionary Guards of Iran finally admitted to the downing of the passenger airplane, but they refused to comply with international law and regulations and insisted on human error as the cause of the downing without any transparency or cooperation to produce evidence. The families were helpless in compelling the Canadian, Ukrainian, British, Swedish, and German governments who lost citizens and residents on the flight to hold the Islamic Republic accountable towards its obligations. Within 5 hours of the downing, the crash site was destroyed by bulldozers, but the international community remained silent. Not even a simple condemnation was tabled at the ICAO. The world faced an absurd situation where the very perpetrators of a crime were given the responsibility to investigate their own crime and produce a report on how their own military apparatus shot and downed a civilian airliner. Within months of the downing, the families took it upon themselves to form an association, and with the help of hundreds of volunteers and tens of thousands of supporters and donors from around the world, they embarked on the long and arduous road to justice, a road without a roadmap. When the Iranian government published its final report that was no more than an attempt to whitewash their crime and shield the implicated high-ranking military and political officials, Dr. Agnes Callamard, the UN Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial, summary, or arbitrary executions, put the spotlight on the tragedy.
The reckless nature of the mistakes have led many, including myself, to question whether the downing of Flight PS752 was intentional.
Mr. Ralph Goodale, Canada's special advisor to the Prime Minister, published his responding report that highlighted numerous unanswered questions and emphasized the shortcomings and inadequacies of Iran's final report. Mr. Goodale remarked that Iran's final report was shambolic. By June 2021, the International Coordination and Response Group of 5 affected countries issued their notice of claim to the Iranian government. The association held a protest rally at the ICAO headquarters in Montreal to voice their frustrations and emphasize ICAO's role in their plight. The ICAO officials made no effort to meet the rally participants. ICAO's misguided reliance on neutrality only aggravates a situation where crimes are committed with blatant disregard for due process and transparency in good faith. Since the downing of Flight PS752, many agencies within the Canadian government acted swiftly and compassionately. The Prime Minister appointed a task force within hours of the downing, and government officials were dispatched to help the families. Financial assistance, special consular services, and other humanitarian measures helped the families cope with the shock of loss and grief. In August 2021, the association organized a truth rally in Toronto in anticipation of the upcoming federal elections in Canada. Thousands of supporters gathered around Toronto City Hall in solidarity with the victims' families. Soon after the federal elections, the 5 affected countries sent a reminder notice to the Iranian government on their notice of claim from months earlier. This too failed to get any reaction from the Iranian government that was overtly evading justice. The victims' families persevered in their relentless insistence on truth and justice. They organized an information booth at the Frankfurt Book Fair to engage the international community. They continued to meet with government officials and insisted on action. November 20th, 2021 marked a significant landmark in the history of the association. The open wound in the sky was nowhere near healing. the Iranian government unilaterally proceeded with domestic legal proceedings by orchestrating show trials of unknown, low-ranking personnel to further their agenda. The families and their legal representatives were denied access to the court files or any participation in the process. The association held a press conference on November 24, 2021, to unveil their 24-page fact-finding report. The report was the result of selfless collaboration between the association's fact-finding committee and military, aviation, legal, investigative, and forensic experts who donated their time and expertise to the association. The association continued its insistence on the need for a proper investigation by an independent international body to address these shortcomings and reveal the truth. The association steadfastly continued its fight for justice. Numerous meetings were finally held with ICAO council members. The association's fact-finding report was sent to all ICAO members, but the organization refused to deliver them and returned hundreds of packages with no justifiable reason. In February 2022, a team from the Ukrainian prosecutor's office traveled to Canada to complete their investigations. Unfortunately, the trip was cut short due to the outbreak of an unprovoked war imposed by Russia. We reiterated our demands in the countless meetings with government officials. The RCMP rejected our repeated calls to open a domestic criminal investigation into the case. The association called on the Canadian government to list the IRGC as a terrorist organization and to impose targeted sanctions on Iran officials who commit atrocities. In the spring of 2022, bizarre news surfaced in the Canadian and Iranian media. It was announced that the Islamic Republic of Iran's national soccer team was to travel to Vancouver to play a friendly game with the Canadian national team. The association raised its objections to this plan from Iran, believing that this game was a sports washing scheme and an attempt to deceptively portray a normal image of the Iranian regime. After publishing an opt in the Globe and Mail, launching a public campaign to send letters to government officials, and finally planning demonstrations in front of the stadium, Canada Soccer changed its decision and cancelled the match.
We are happy that they corrected the bad decision that they made.
On September 14, 2022, the association filed its submission to the International Criminal Court on the basis of allegations of war crimes and crimes against humanity after months of investigations and consultations with expert lawyers. The submission provided more than 90 pages of evidence and analysis against those who had a role in the downing of Flight PS752. To date, none of those affected countries have submitted a letter of support for this submission, and the court has yet to review and respond to the submission. In mid-September, after the brutal killing of Mahsa Amini by the infamous morality police in Tehran, a revolution erupted in Iran under the banner of women, life, freedom.
برای توی کوچه رقصیدن برای ترسیدن به وقت بوسیدن برای
The families of PS752 victims played an active role in mobilizing the community and echoing the voice of the protesters in Iran. By the 1st of October 2022, tens of thousands of people gathered in cities across Canada and the world to stand in solidarity with their courageous compatriots inside Iran in rejection of the Islamic Republic regime. By October 22nd, over 100,000 demonstrators assembled in Berlin. On October 29th, human chains were formed in cities around the world to commemorate the victims of oppression in Iran over the past 44 years. On November 19th, the association held a vigil on the 3rd anniversary of the bloody November 2019 silent massacres that took the lives of over 1,500 peaceful protesters in Iran. The Iranian diaspora around the world united and compelled the global community to stand with the women and youth in Iran who are on the front lines of resistance despite the brutality facing them. Meanwhile, the regime continues to torment the families of Flight PS752 victims by holding more show trials in secrecy. The families vehemently reject the legitimacy of such proceedings, but their protests continue to be ignored by the regime. Finally, on December 28 of 2022, only 11 days ago, there was a breakthrough. The 4 affected countries, led by Canada, issued a diplomatic note to the Islamic Republic state, putting them on notice to commence proceedings according to the Montreal Convention, holding them criminally responsible for the intentional downing of Flight PS752. The case will be referred to the International Court of Justice in 6 months if arbitration proceedings fail. This is the beginning of the roadmap that victims' families have been seeking over the past 3 years. The only way forward is to reveal the truth, disclose all evidence, and hold the real perpetrators of this heinous crime accountable in a fair and impartial trial. Today, as we embark on the 3rd anniversary of the downing of Flight PS752, we face the same questions. Who ordered missiles to be shot at Flight PS752? Why and by whom was the Iranian airspace kept open during a historic direct military confrontation with the United States? What happened during those early morning hours of January 8? Why has the Iranian government failed to live up to its international obligations? Who was responsible for dispatching lethal air defense units, and with what motivation? Why is the international community credulous, if not silent, in the face of such inhumane acts of violence? When will this cycle of violence be stopped? The families ask, how much longer will this painful wound over the skies of Tehran remain open?
Please rise, if you're able to, and join me in holding 30 seconds of silence in honor of all the victims of downing of Flight PS752 and all other victims of the Islamic Republic over the last 44 years. Thank you. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, family members, loved ones, my name is Pega Solari, and I MC today's event as a volunteer for the Association of Families of Flight PS752 victims. Thank you for being here today and for the love and support you have given to so many grieving families over the past 3 years. Nothing can bring their loved ones back, but the compassion and embrace of so many has given strength to the mothers, fathers, children, partners, and family members to persevere in the face of unimaginable grief. It's been 3 years since that dreadful night of January 7th, 2020, when we first heard about a so-called plane crash. It was shortly after 6 a.m. on January 8th, Tehran local time. Within a few minutes, the gravity of the news shook an entire nation. That trembling feeling, that sinister suspicion about the real cause behind the crash lingered on, despite 3 days of systemic denial by the Islamic Republic. Over 4 decades of dealing with lies and deceit in a theocracy had taught us to always question, to always be aware of their hidden agenda. The downing of PS752 by at least 2 IRGC missiles was just another link in the chain of crimes perpetrated by the Islamic Republic since 1979. In the last 3 years, the Association of Families of Victims of Flight PS752 has been relentlessly fighting in pursuit of justice. As we gather here today to honor the memories of the victims of that horrific crime, we also recognize all the other innocent citizens who have lost their lives since the first days of establishment of this regime, especially the ones we have lost in the recent uprising in Iran after the murder of young Kurdish girl Mahsa Amini. A movement that is finally globally recognized as Iran's revolution, led by women and the youth who have inspired everyone in the world to believe in the dignity of mankind, the right to live free, in peace and with love, under the slogan, Woman, Life, Freedom. We stand here today knowing that justice prevails. میهمانان عزیز خوش آمدید. شلیک عامدانه سپاه به پرواز PS752 در این 3مین سالگرد زخمی است همیشگی بر آسمان میهنمان. سوگی بزرگ بر دل میلیون‌ها ایرانی در سراسر جهان و ترجمان اتحاد برای دادخواهی در فرهنگ واژگانمان. گرد هم آمده ایم تا یاد جانباختگان حکومت جنایت و دروغ را از ابتدا تا خیزش انقلابی اخیر در این مکان و همزمان با ایرانیان سراسر جهان و هموطنانمان در ایران عزیز گرامی بداریم. We are honored to have with us today several dignitaries. The Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada. The Honourable Mélanie Joly, Minister of Foreign Affairs. The Honourable Ralph Goodale, Canada's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom and the Special Advisor to Prime Minister. The Honourable Pierre Poilievre, Leader of the Official Opposition of Canada. His Worship, John Tory, Mayor of Toronto. The Honourable Omar Al-Gabra, Minister of Transport. The Honourable Marco Mendicino, Minister of Public Safety. The Honourable Sean Fraser, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. We are also honoured with the presence of Members of Parliament of Ontario, Michael Parsa, and Members of House of Commons, Ali Esasi and Han Dong. Her Excellency, Ms. Yuliya Kovaliv, Ambassador of Ukraine, Dr. Payam Akhavan, and several other VIP guests. Thank you all for joining us here today. Your presence signifies the importance of fighting for human rights, not only for Canadian citizens, but also all humanity across the world. Along with keeping alive the memories of all victims of tyranny, it is crucial to actively fight for truth and to hold those responsible accountable for their crimes. Without the support of politicians and government engagement, the families are left alone in a fight no parent, no sibling, and no loved one should ever have to endure. I'd like to acknowledge that today also marks the first anniversary of passing of Baktash Optin, prominent Iranian literary figure from complications of COVID-19 while imprisoned for his political activism. Baktash was a poet and documentary filmmaker who was held captive for his ideas. He too was murdered in the hands of tyrants. I now invite Dr. Hamid Esmailion, the Speaker for the Association of Families of Flight PS752, to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much. خیلی ممنونم. خیلی ممنون. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. I just say a few words in Farsi. سلام عرض میکنم خدمت همه شما. قبل از اینکه صحبتام به زبان انگلیسی ادامه بدم، یاد میکنم از محمد مهدی کرمی، از محمد حسینی که بیرحمانه 2 روز پیش توسط جمهوری اسلامی به قتل رسیدند. پاسخ همه این خونریزی ها رو خواهند داد. یاد میکنم از مهدی محمودیان، بهار هدایت و بسیاری دیگه که الان در زندان هستند فقط به خاطر شمع روشن کردن برای PS752. همه شما رو به یاد میاریم و تلاش خواهیم کرد تا پایانی بگذاریم بر جمهوری اسلامی ایران. 3 years passed. Do you remember how they lied to the world? Do you remember how they used everything in their power to distort the truth? Do you remember how they used every means they had in their disposal, inside Iran and abroad, in the media and on social media, to further their narrative of technical failures or human error? Do you remember how they held the black boxes hostage for 7 months, while international organizations such as the ICAO stood idly by in silent complacency? Do you remember their attempt at a so-called technical report that was infested with lies and misdirection, designed to bewilder and confuse? Do you remember their outrageous messages of congratulations to us for the martyrdom of our loved ones? You must remember their show trials these recent days that are putting salt over the wounds of the grieving families. And you must remember that we, the families of victims of Flight PS752, stand resolute and determined, no matter what the odds, no matter how hopeless our journey. 3 years have passed that seem to us like a lifetime. It took a long time for everyone to understand that the Islamic Republic regime is nothing but a mafia gang, a tyrannical state that produces nothing but terrorism, repression, and injustice. The world must understand that they have no place in the international community, and most importantly, they do not represent the great people of Iran. It need not have taken 44 years of endless crimes for the world to learn that somewhere in the Middle East, instead of a free and democratic country, a gang of murderous thugs are ruling over their people. When Mahsa Amini was murdered, Iran and its people rose to voice the grief and rage that has been burning in them for 44 years. Since then, over 500 more innocent lives have been taken by the regime to prove that Mahsa Amini's death was an accident. Thousands more are suffering unbearable, inhumane conditions in prisons throughout Iran. 4 young men have been executed for blocking traffic in protests and burning garbage containers on the streets. Many more are facing imminent execution for similar acts of defiance that are labeled by the regime as corruption on earth. But Iran is not silent and shall not be silenced. Since the murder of Mahsa, the voices of Iranians resonate throughout the world. The united voice that calls woman, life, freedom echoes in Iran's beautiful mountain ranges and touches every human being around the world. The bright light of hope stretches through the beautiful steppes of Iran and warms every Iranian's heart that beats full of determination to put an end to the tyranny called the Islamic Republic. We, the members of the Association of Families of Flight PS752, are part of this revolution, inspired the spirit behind the chant, woman, life, freedom. we are part of this revolution and stand united until victory for Iran. We thank the governments of the 4 affected countries, Canada, Ukraine, the United Kingdom, and Sweden, who have helped to pave the way to bringing the criminals to the International Court of Justice in The Hague. We know all too well how difficult and complex this legal process is, but we remain confident that on June 28, 2023, this file will be opened in the Hague Court and the rotting Islamic Republic regime will face justice. The grieving families of the victims of Flight PS752 are comforted that the leaders of Canada, Ukraine, the United Kingdom, and Sweden stand with us on the right side of history. We expect the governments of the affected countries to continue to stand with us and show to the world that justice will only be achieved with the truth. Justice, 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 and aspiration. An aspiration that we have fought for every step of the way during this difficult 3 years, and we shall not relent in our cause. The road to justice must be paved on one step at a time. We continue to demand that the RCMP open formal domestic criminal investigations into the downing of Flight PS752. We ask the Government of Canada to once and for all list the entirety of the nefarious Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization. We ask that the legal obstacles be dealt with and the IRGC be put in a place where it belongs. We ask the Government of Canada to immediately expel from this country Farhad Parvarish, the regime representative to the IKO. Someone who has collaborated with Qasem Soleimani and the Quds Force does not deserve to live in a free and democratic country. We ask the Canadian government to identify the remaining oligarchs and operatives of the Islamic Republic as soon as possible and remove them from this country. Do with them what was necessary to be done with Putin's oligarchs. If Putin and Lukashenko have faced targeted sanctions by Canada, Ali Khamenei must also join them at the list. Three years have passed and we are still alive and fighting. We live for a dream of freedom and justice in Iran. We live to see the day that Iran's children will grow up in a safe, peaceful country and every Iranian can enjoy prosperity in a free and democratic Iran. We live for a day that the women and girls are free to decide how they live, what they wear, and where to travel to. We live for the day that those behind so many horrendous crimes will be tried in a free and fair court of law. We live for the day that freedom, social justice, equality, and respect for the environment become the real aspirations of our people, and the day that we continue to live for is one without the Islamic Republic and the criminals who rule that beautiful country. Despite our pain, we remain alive because we know that ultimately justice prevails. We will never forget, nor shall we ever forget. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ismailioun. I now invite to the stage the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada.
Good afternoon, dear friends. Hamid, thank you for your powerful and moving words, as always. And thank you for your ceaseless work and devotion to justice and to the truth. Thank you for being such a source of strength to all of us, to this community, to Canadians, to people around the world watching, despite what I know is a deeply personal tragedy for you as well. You are an inspiration to us all, my friend. And thank you to the families of the victims of PS752 for having us here today. Merci à l'Association des familles des victimes du vol PS752 d'avoir organisé cet événement aujourd'hui. I am joined today by many colleagues who many of you have gotten to know well over the past 3 years. My friend and yours, High Commissioner Ralph Goodale, Ministers Joly, Al-Khabra, Ian, and others. Many members of caucus are here as well. I want to make special mention of Ali Assasi, who is a strong voice in Parliament for the Iranian Canadian community and whose riding we are currently in. And Majid Jahari, who is also a strong advocate for the community. We are all working together at this federal level to hold the Iranian regime accountable for unlawfully and horrifically shooting down a passenger flight, and we are here to seek justice for the victims and their families. It is important that we all be here together, and I am pleased that we are joined by the leader of the official opposition, Pierre Poilievre, Minister Parsa from the Ontario government, and of course, someone who's been a true friend to the Iranian community, Mayor John Tory. Aujourd'hui, en cette deuxième journée nationale de commémoration des victimes de catastrophes aériennes, on est réunis pour se souvenir des personnes qu'on a perdues suite à ces tragédies. On se souvient des passagers du vol 1363 d'Air Ontario, du vol 302 d'Ethiopian Airlines, du vol 182 d'Air India et du vol 752 de la Ukrainian International Airlines. 3 years ago, Toronto-bound Flight PS752 was shot down by Iranian missiles. With it, 176 souls were lost. People you loved, people you grieve for every day. On Friday, I spoke with some families some surviving families. Beheshte lost her daughter, Bahare Karami, who was moving to Canada because of the challenges she faced as a woman in Iran. Merzad, my friend, a single father, lost his only son, Arad. He was 17 years old. Ali Dad lost his brother Ardalan, his nephew Kamyar, and his sister-in-law Nilufar. Ali Dud joined our call on Friday from where he lives in Australia, where it was 3 in the morning. It was a reminder that the downing of PS752 is not just a Canadian tragedy, although we have mourned it across this country as a Canadian tragedy. The people around the world, yes, of course, in Iran, but also in countries far and wide, where this extraordinary community has not just set down roots, but contributed to the societies and the communities in which they contribute. People around the world feel this loss every single day. For victims' family members who want to be together in Canada, we have opened a pathway to permanent residency that will reunite grieving relatives so you can support each other. This tragedy happened because of the Iranian regime's heinous disregard for human life. Your grief has been compounded by their refusal to be held accountable. Nothing will ever bring your loved ones back. But when you lose someone so senselessly, finding justice is a part of mourning. We need closure in order to heal. And Iran's refusal to be held accountable is denying you that. Well said. 2 weeks ago, one of the things that Canadians saw through this tragedy, and people around the world have discovered through the extraordinary diaspora communities in their countries, in their cities, in their towns, is that the Islamic Republic is not representative and is not indicative of the extraordinary, wonderful, warm, brilliant people of Iran, who deserve so much better. Two weeks ago, we initiated a process to bring the Islamic Republic of Iran into binding arbitration to ensure accountability and justice. We worked alongside the UK, Sweden, and of course, Ukraine, who are dealing with the horrific invasion by Russia, supported and aided by the Islamic Republic of Iran. But Ukraine and President Volodymyr Zelensky ensured that the measures were taken so that we could move forward in time for the 3rd anniversary. And I want to thank the Ukrainian government and Ukrainian people for standing, even as they grieve through their losses, standing with the people of Iran. And of course, if the Iranian regime does not comply within 6 months with this binding arbitration, we will take the next steps and move to the International Court of Justice, where there will be accountability. On va continuer d'être là pour vous soutenir, et on va continuer d'être là pour demander des comptes au régime iranien. Just a few minutes ago, I visited the art exhibit that you organized. It laid out the many crimes of the Iranian regime and its human rights abuses. The killing of Mahsa Amini last year struck a deep chord not only in Iran, but in a way that has resonated and continues to resonate around the world. Canada and all Canadians stand with the women of Iran, schoolgirls to grandmothers, and all the people of Iran who are demanding to live their lives free of persecution. In a, in a, Zan Zindagi Azadim. In October, I joined the Freedom Human Chain event that took place in cities around the world. It was a powerful expression of global support for the women of Iran whose bravery started this movement, but that is also inspired and strengthened by the grief and the continued voices and actions for the past 3 years that this community and you families have been pushing. Notre gouvernement a imposé certaines des sanctions les plus sévères au monde contre le régime iranien et ses hauts dirigeants. On a interdit des dizaines de milliers de hauts responsables d'entrer au Canada. We have permanently and forever banned leaders from Iran from ever being able to take safe haven in Canada, and we will continue to stand and look for even more to do to ensure that this brutal, murderous regime is held fully to account. Many of you came here to Canada to build a better life in a place where justice and peace are a way of life. That's what Canada is, and that's what our government will continue to stand up for, and that's what the people of Iran deserve in their own country. After this memorial, many of us will go to a vigil across the street. Vigils are being held tonight across Canada, in Vancouver, Nanaimo, Calgary, Edmonton, Regina, Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Ottawa, London, Sudbury, Montreal, and St. John's. The entire Canadian family shares in your sadness. Your courage and your resilience continue to inspire us all, and on this day and every day, we continue to be here with you. We continue to be here for you. Merci. Zan Zindagi Azadi.
Thank you. Thank you, dear guests. I'd just like to remind everyone that today is a day we have come together to remember and honor and cherish the memories of the loved ones we have lost. This is a somber event. I understand that we are all politically charged, but please try to maintain the timeline of the event. I thank you all in advance. Thank you, Prime Minister. It was brought to my attention that we are also joined here today by members of Parliament, the Honourables, Melissa Landsman and Anna Roberts. Thank you so much for being here today. We have been blessed by the overwhelming support by many artists over the past 3 years. And I would like to introduce one of those who have stood with us and lent their voice to our cause for justice. Ms. Rana Mansour performing the song Baraye by Shervin Hajipur, the song of Iran's revolution.
Hello, everyone. It's interesting. I've performed thousands and thousands of times, but today I have felt something I've never felt before on the stage, and my heart is more open than it's ever been. This performance is dedicated to all the lives that have been lost, all the lives that we are losing every single day, to all the people who are living in Iran right now who are risking their lives for very, very basic human rights. I would like to thank the Association of Families of Flight PS752 for inviting me here to lend my voice to this cause. The work that you all have done is incredibly courageous, and it's an honor for me to be standing up here tonight. Thank you. I'm sure you all know this song. For dancing in the alleys and the streets, for the thrill and the fear of getting caught kissing, for my sister, my brother, and unity, for all the times we tried to change their minds and stale beliefs, for the loss of pride, for poverty, for the dream of just a normal life for you and me, for all the children who are starving for a loaf of bread, for the greed of politics and all the lies they spread, for all the mass polluted air we breathe, for all the litter in the streets and all the dying trees, for all the animals who suffer from elimination, for all the cats and dogs who love us without no conditions, for all the tears that seem to never end, for all the images that keep on turning in our heads, for a simple smile to last a little while, for the future generations fighting for their time, for empty promises of heaven in the afterlife, for all the imprisonment of beautiful minds, for all the babies who were born and for the ones who died, for all the times you told the truth and all the times you lied, for all the speeches that we heard about 1,000,000 times, for all the shacks and shelters that were sold to make a dime, for just a glimpse of a peaceful life, for the rising of the sun after an endless night, for all the pills we pop just to get some sleep, for all mankind and our country, for all the boys and girls who never knew equality, for woman, for life, liberty, for liberty. زن، زندگی، آزادی. Woman, life, freedom. آقای اسماعیل, thank you. Mr. Trudeau, Prime Minister, thank you so much. And our strings, thank you.
Thank you, Rana and her band, for this touching performance. I now invite the Honourable Mélanie Joly, Minister of Foreign Affairs, to the stage.
Thank you so much for inviting me here to be with you today, because today is a solemn day. And thank you for all of you being here, of course, the Prime Minister, my colleagues, Leader of the Opposition, Mayor Tory. Merci. Merci de m'avoir invité aujourd'hui. To the families, to the loved ones, the friends and colleagues of those who were killed 3 years ago, my heart goes to each and every one of you. Mes condoléances les plus sincères. I know that 3 years ago, your lives were upended. Everything changed. Nothing will ever be the same. And Canada changed that day. Well, we may not be able to understand the extent of your pain. Canadians share in your grief, and I share your grief. I hope to carry some of that weight for you as we fight together every day to hold the Iranian regime accountable. Because impunity is not an option. Time's up, and it's enough. The Iranian regime will answer for their crimes in accordance with international law. And we will get the best lawyers on earth to make sure that that's the case. And I would like to thank also Payam Akhavan, who's with us today, who's been helping us. Thank you, Payam. Because justice will prevail. Last week, we requested that the Islamic Republic of Iran abide by the Montreal Convention. This will lead up to the International Court of Justice. The UK, Sweden, Ukraine, and Canada are together with you, and we're all united. The Islamic Republic of Iran will try to delay, distract, dismiss, and divide us. But we know that we have truth on our side. Canada will not stop fighting for families, transparency, accountability, and justice. And I want to thank you for your patience and trust. I know 3 years is a long time to wait. The wheels of justice have turned slowly. I want to thank in particular Ahmed, Kurosh, Merzad, Hidiye, all of you who've been involved, who've been organizing, who've been pressure, who've done what it is, who have shown tremendous courage. I think it's again worth a round of applause. Because we will not relent, and we will hold the Iranian regime accountable, and this is a top priority. How can it be that a state commits the unthinkable against its own citizens and against our own citizens without consequences, and this will end? The Islamic Republic of Iran continues to show complete disregard for human life, for human rights, and dignity of the Iranian people, and Canada refused to stand by idly. 2023 will be a year of action. We will seek justice at the international level, before the International Court of Justice, before ICAO. We'll sanction the RG officials. We'll freeze assets. We will seize their assets. Canada will never be a safe harbor for RG officials. We will rally the international community. There will be more women foreign ministers supporting us. There will be more foreign ministers, more leaders making sure that we isolate Iran at the UN, at the Human Rights Council, and elsewhere. Life, freedom. Femme, vie, liberté. Zan, zindagi, azadi. These are not just words, these are actions, and there is a movement and we will support it. So let's work together pour la justice qui est nécessaire à vous tous, au peuple iranien et bien entendu à l'humanité. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister. Ukraine has become a symbol of resistance for the world. Over the past 11 months, we have witnessed the heroism of Ukrainians in the face of such brutal and inhumane adversity. Ukraine's commitment to truth and justice has been instrumental in the PS752 case, and we are honored to have Her Excellency, Ms. Yuliya Kovaliv, the Ukrainian ambassador to Canada, to stage to say a few words.
Honorable Prime Minister, Minister Joly, members of the Parliament, Your Worship Mayor Tory, dear family members, dear guests today. Today we commemorate victims of our giant tragedy for Canada, for Ukraine, for UK, for Sweden, and for the families who lost their beloved ones. 3 years ago, Iranian missile killed 176 innocent people, leaving deep pain in our hearts. It was only 3 years ago. For us in Ukraine, since that time, a lot have changed. For over 300 days, our country is protecting freedom, human rights, and the values we all share. For these over 300 of the days, missiles are hitting Ukrainian houses, schools, hospitals. Iranian drones are destroying infrastructure, leaving people without the heat, without the electricity, without the water. But there are two important things that have remained for Ukraine unchanged. First, we remember and we will never forget the victims of this tragedy. 2 surface-to-air missiles fired by the armed forces of Iran with the interval of around 30 seconds killed the passengers and the crew of the airplane of Ukrainian International Airlines. For all of us, for the relatives, family members, and the citizens, that is a huge loss, and that is a huge pain, and we grieve. And I would like to thank you to the family members and to each of you to also remember the Ukrainians who were the crew of the flight and the passengers. And I would like to thank you to you and to everybody, and especially for Courage, for also helping and taking care of Ukrainian families of the victims of the flight who are now in Ukraine and who are now under the permanent attacks of the Iranian drones. And there is another important thing that remained for us in Ukraine unchanged. This is the seek for justice. Despite the Russian war, atrocities, war crimes that my country is now living through, we continue to proceed with our investigation of the flight that was shut down by the Iranian regime. And this year, it took us a lot of efforts during the war. It took for Ukraine the need to change the legislation and On December 20th this year, in 2022, President Zelensky signed a separate amendments to the legislation to allow Ukraine to join Canada, Ukraine, and Sweden in our way to seek the justice. And we would like to thank you, Canada, and to thank you, Prime Minister and Minister Joly, for your leadership to take the leading role in this case and the investigation. And I would like to assure you that even with the times of the war, Ukraine and our government is committed to go together with all our partners to bring this case to the justice, because we do feel and understand how much this justice is important today in this world. And we have not only hope, but we have a painful experience on bringing this justice. And just recently, and in the end of 2022, we finally got the verdict for another crime, which is the downing of the flight MH17. And we got, after almost 8 years, we got the verdict in Hague, and all of these people who were involved in the downing of the MH17 flight, they were brought to justice. And so we have the hope that the justice will prevail. For these days, we in Ukraine, as never before in our history, understand what is to fight for the human rights, what is to fight for the freedom, what is to fight for the democracy. And we also understand that it's hard to be on our own in this fight. And that's why the world is standing with us. And I would like to thank you, Canada, for the support for Ukraine, for the support of our fight for freedom, because we inspire the world. And I want to pass the message that our fight, where we for sure will win, will inspire the fight for freedom. And with this fight, we are not fighting only the Russian army and Russian invaders. There are those Iranian drones that are called motorcycles. They are destroying the infrastructure of the country, the houses, and they are killing the people in Ukraine now. And as we are starting this new year, I want for all of us to make a wish that none of the Iranian missile, none of the Iranian drone will ever take a life of any of the civilian people in the world. Thank you.
درست 3 سال از خداحافظی کوتاهمان به امید دیدار دوباره عزیزانمان می‌گذرد. در سحرگاه 18 دی‌ماه 98 سپاه تمام زندگی ما را نشانه گرفت و دقایقی بعد از پرواز با شلیک 2 موشک به هواپیما بدن کودکان ما را سپر خود قرار داد.
3 سال از بزرگترین جنایت بشری در طول تاریخ گذشت و 176 انسان بیگناه که به هیچ عنوان مستحق مرگ نبودند به دست اهریمنانی که مستحق زندگی کردن نیستند به قتل رسیدند.
تاریخی هم فراموش نخواهد کرد که این خاک منتظر بازگشت نخبگانش و آباد شدن به دست آنها بود، نه در آغوش گرفتن پیکرهای سوخته‌شان.
شرم دارم که قدم بر این زمین بگذارم. نمیدانم گام خواهم بر گلبرگ کدامین گل از این دست گلهای 177 نفر سنگینی می‌کند. فقط میدانم سنگینیش قلبم را می‌فشارد و نفسم را تنگ می‌کند.
4 عزیزم از دست دادم، ولی الان احساس میکنم 177 عزیزم را از دست دادم.
177 هسته برزنتی را در تابوت‌های محکوم شده در پرچم جمهوری اسلامی به عنوان پیکر مسافرین به خانواده‌هایشان تحویل دادند که بعدها مشخص شد بررسی DNA به درستی بر آنها انجام نشده است.
جنایت می‌کند، قاضی حمایت می‌کند. جنایت می‌کند، قاضی حمایت می‌کند.
و رهبری نیز عملاً رأی به خطای انسانی به صورت غیر عمد داده است. بنابراین قضات دادگاه این اراده، قصد و اجازه را نخواهند داشت که خارج از تصمیم و نظر رهبری رسیدگی عادلانه و بی‌طرفانه داشته باشند. بنابراین دادگاه ضمن وارد کردن فشار روحی و روانی به خانواده‌های جانباختگان ناتوان بوده و رسیدگی نیز سوری، فرمایشی و فرمالیته خواهد بود.
حقیقت، عدالت، حقیقت،
عدالت، حقیقت، عدالت، حقیقت.
چگونه است که بستن خیابان توسط معترضین جرم محسوب می شود و سریعاً حکم مجازات صادر و اجرا می شود، اما شلیک عامدانه به هواپیمای مسافری جرم نیست و مشمول یک سلسله خطاهای انسانی است. بعد از گذشت 3 سال توجهی به اعتراف نسبت به چگونگی تنظیم کیفرخواست در دادسرای نظامی نمی شود. در دادگاه موجود بر اساس واژه سانحه که خود مبین انشای رأی نهایی است، پروژه خطای انسانی در دست بررسی است.
و در سال سوم این جنایت فریاد ایران برای آزادی و عدالت تمام دنیا را در رود. انجمن خانواده‌ها که این جنایت را خلقی از زنجیره جنایات جمهوری اسلامی در 44 سال آدمکشی می‌داند، تلاش کرد این انقلاب مترقی بپیوندد. ما خود را بخش از انقلاب بزرگ زن، زندگی و آزادی در ایران می‌دانیم و اطمینان داریم با تلاش آزادی‌خواهان و عدالت‌خواهان روزی نچندان ثمره این مبارزات دیده خواهد شد.
در این دشت پرستم که رود پرخروش دادخواهی و عدالت طلبی ما در حرکت است، جویباران دیگری با هدف دادخواهی و مجازات ستمگران وجود دارند که روزی همه ما دادخواهان و ستمدیدگان به هم می‌پیوندیم. روزی که دور نیست فرا خواهد رسید.
خطاب به اتاق فکر و تصمیم سازان و مجریان این جنایت می‌گویم: در دهکده جهانی و عصر ارتباطات زندگی می‌کنیم و عصر بزن در رو تمام شده است. نمی‌توان هواپیمای مسافری را زد و از تبعات جبران ناپذیر آن در امان بود.
جنایتکاران جنایت پیشه، شرری که از داغ و هجران عزیزانمان در سینه داریم، بنیاد شما را به آتش خواهد کشید. قدهای خمیده ما همچون پتک کاوه آهنگر بر فرقتان خواهد کوبید.
اینجا هستند تا فرداهای دیگر سعیدها و نیلوفرهای نازنین دیگری را از خانواده‌های دیگر نگیرند. اینجا جمع شده ایم که دست متجاوز دیگری طناب دار بر جوانانمان نیندازد. اینجا هستیم تا دنیا ما را بشنود. اینجاییم که ثابت کنیم ما ایرانی می‌خواهیم آزاد با سردمدارانی وطن پرست، عادل و همراه. زن، زندگی، آزادی.
خاک عالم بر 3 ساله به ما میگن که اپراتور با کروز اشتباه گرفته. اپراتور تمام تحرکات رو رصد میکرد و با بیسیم با فرماندهیش صحبت میکرد. بیسیم دائم مشغول بود تا 1 دقیقه و نیم قبل از پرواز هواپیمای ما. وقتی هواپیما اومد تو باند حرکت بکنه ریلکس نشستم. وقتی پرواز کرد اپراتور به بغل دستش گفت بنداز روی مانیتور خود من. آیا جز اینه که این از قبل برنامه‌ریزی شده بوده؟ احتیاجی نیازی به استعلام نمیدیده؟ وقتی انگوشش رو ماشه فشار داد و شلیک کرد، خدا لعنتش اومد موشک اول اصابت کرد، توی رادار قشنگ نشون دادن خورد. تاییدیه‌اش هم رو صفحه دید. 30 ثانیه بعد دوباره بدون اینکه سوال بکنه، صحبت بکنه، استعلام بکنه، اون دست کثیف دوباره رفت روی دکمه شلیک کرد. وقتی هواپیما میاد میخوره زمین تازه به بغل دستش نمیگه ببین چیه، میگه برو ببین کجا خورده. موشک میخوره به هواپیمایی که تصفیه بچه دران توی اون هواپیما. بعد میخوان با استناد به اون فیلم به من توجیه بکنن که نگاه بکن که اپراتور خودسر اومده این هم شلیک رو انجام داده. من که از روز اول مصر به شلیک عمدی بودم. بعد از دیدن این فیلم حتی 1000م ثانیه هم دیگه تردید نخواهم داشت.
آرامش خاطر، آسودگی خیال و بی‌تفاوتی خسروی شلیک کننده حین مکالمات داخل سامانه و فشار دکمه بیانگر اطاعت امر و اجرای دستور سلسله مراتب فرماندهی است.
در آن نوبت که بندد دست نیلوفر به پای سرو کوهی دام، گرم یاد آوری یا نه من از یادت نمی‌خواهم، من از یادت نمی‌خواهم، تو را من چشم در راه.
پریسا اقبالیان 42، محمد مهدی الیاسی 28، سید مهدی امامی 60، صوفی امامی 5، مهدی اسحاقیان دورچه 24، ریرا اسماعیلیون 9، منصور اثناعشری اصفهانی 29، شریعه فقیهی 58، فائزه فلسفی 46، فراز فلسفی 31، آیدا فرزانه 33،
شکیبا فقاهتی 39. مرزیه فروتن 37. دانیل قندچی 8. درسا قندچی 60. سیاوش غفوری آذر 35. ایمان قادر پناه 34. پریناز قادر پناه 32. امیر حسین قاسمی 32. میلاد قاسمی آریانی 32. فاطمه قاسمی دستجردی 25. کیانا قاسمی 19. مهدی قوی 20. معصومه قوی 30. فریده غلامی 38. امیر حسین قربانی بهابادی 21. سوزان گلباباپور 49. پونه جان گرجی 25. سهرناز حقجو 37. بهاره حاج اسفندیاری 41. صدف حاجی آقاوند 27. مهدی حاج قاسمی 38. سارا حمزه‌ای 33. زهرا حسنی سعدی 25. شهرزاد هاشمی 45. پارسا حسن نژاد 16. سهند هاتفی مستقیم 32. حدیث حیات داوودی 27. السا جدیدی 8. پدرام جدیدی 28. شادی جمشیدی 31. علی جواهری پی 47. محمد امین جبلی 29. محمد رضا کت خدازاده 40.
My heart goes out to the grieving mothers who show so much courage and dignity in keeping the memories of the victims alive. It is the victims and the life that they have been robbed of, that brings us here today and every year. Throughout today's program, the names of many victims are being recited. We keep them close to our hearts and shout their names to help the world recognize them for the loved people they were, and not mere statistics. I now invite the Honourable Ralph Goodale, Prime Minister's Special Advisor on Canada's ongoing response to shooting down of Flight PS752.
Dear families, and homage to you and all members of this remarkable association. Prime Minister, ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, since March of 2020, it has been my sad responsibility to serve the Government of Canada as Special Advisor on the government's ongoing response to the tragic loss of Flight PS752. It has proven to be the toughest and the most emotional assignment that I have ever undertaken in close to 50 years in public life. We all share a profound sense of grief at the massive loss of innocent human life, and equally profound outrage at the wanton behavior of the Islamic Republic regime that caused it. At the center of everything are the families of the victims, all of you. Your grief and anguish are so very real and ongoing. You tell the personal stories about your loved ones, now gone, and you read the names. They are not statistics. They are real-life human beings. You mourn the rich human potential that was so cruelly destroyed. Each life was so precious. Each family has been forever wounded, and you yearn for the truth, for justice. So does Canada, so do we all, so do civilized people everywhere in the world. This country is totally committed to fighting for our rights under international law and for the best interests of all of the grieving families. International aviation rules and procedures are complex and time-consuming and sometimes absolutely infuriating, but we are following those rules meticulously to ensure that we get the transparency, the accountability, and the justice which the families so richly deserve. That has been our focus from the outset. Important new steps, as the Prime Minister and the Minister earlier mentioned, have been taken just in the last 2 weeks, building the case, accelerating the momentum. I've had the opportunity to meet and work with our entire legal team. It is led and driven by Canada, but it also includes the best legal minds from the governments of Ukraine, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. They are working tightly together, and that international solidarity is a very large asset. They are assisted, the lawyers, by 4 global experts in aviation law, human rights, and international legal proceedings, including the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice. Together, the 4 of them, those 4 external experts, have more than 100 years of professional experience and expertise, including Canada's very distinguished Payam Akhavan. the families can have full confidence that they are represented in this quest for justice by the best legal minds and practitioners in the world. Bright and innovative, dogged and relentless, they will not be deterred until this job is done and done right. But mostly today, I want to thank the families of the victims of PS752 for the privilege of working with them and on their behalf. Your passion, your patience, your persistence, and your perseverance are absolute wonders to behold. I believe that your lost loved ones would be very proud of the way in which all of you have honored their memories and have kept those memories alive and will continue to do so. And please know that the Government of Canada, along with Sweden, the United Kingdom, and Ukraine, are proud of you too, and will stand with you every step of the way. Godspeed you. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to mention that we're also joined today by Minister Marcy Ian, Honorable Rob Oliphant, Members of Parliament Shafkat Ali, Paul Chiang, Sonia Sidhu, Francesco Sorbara, and Councilwoman Lily Cheng from the City of Toronto. Thank you all for being here today. I now invite Mehran Aminian and his band to the stage to perform the song Hanuz. Mehran has stood in solidarity with the Association of Families since the first days. Thank you, Mehran, for your support.
به قول گلشیری بزرگ انقدر عذاب بر سرمان ریختند که مجال عزاداری نداریم. در کنار خشم، درد و همه اون چیزی که بر سرمان اومده و داره میاد، مهمه که امید به فردا رو از دست ندیم. Here's a song of hope for tomorrow, when justice will prevail. Everybody. نفس میکشم Justice for Iran.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mehran and the band. I now invite the Honorable Michael Parsa, Minister of Housing, to the stage to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Payam Akhavan. Right Honourable Prime Minister Trudeau, Leader of the Official Opposition, Mr. Poilievre, Your Worship, Mayor Tory, Your Excellency, Ambassador Kovaliv, Ministers of the Federal Government, Provincial, all my colleagues from all levels of government, community leaders, friends, and most importantly, families. We gather with heavy heart here today to remember the 176 lives taken through a deliberate and cowardly act by the Iranian regime. Of this 176 victims, 55 of which were Canadian citizens, 30 were permanent residents, and many others with very close ties to Canada. We gather to remember and honor them. We gather to mourn their loss with their families and their loved ones. These were innocent people. These were students who came to Canada for a better future, for a better life. Students who left their families behind to pursue dreams and opportunities not available to them in Iran under this regime. Families on vacation, children meeting their grandparents for the very first time, newlyweds coming back home to start a new life. Professionals with important careers and successful practices, including engineers, teachers, researchers, doctors, scientists, people who had meaningful lives and so much more to live for. People who made an impact on those around them. People who contributed to their communities and left a positive mark on our society. It's been said earlier, nothing can be said that will bring them back. And we can never truly feel the pain of those who have lost loved ones. And although they're not here physically with us, their memory will forever live on. As Rumi, a renowned Iranian poet, has said, goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes, because for those who love with their heart and soul, there is no such thing as separation. It's so important that we stand together. It's so important that we stand united against the evil, vile Iranian regime. It took them 3 days to take responsibility for their actions, for this unspeakable tragedy. 3 days of denial and lies before these cowards admitted to this atrocity. The last 3 months has shown us that this regime continues to violate basic human rights of Iranians, and they have tried in every way possible to silence the Iranian people. Colleagues of mine from all levels of government, this is unacceptable, and all of us need to work together to ensure that we hold this vile and evil regime to account for their actions. Like they did when they shut down Flight PS752, the regime continues to lie and bury the truth about the murders and arrests of peace-loving Iranians in the current revolution happening in Iran. The world sees through the facade of the regime, and now, since the death of Mahsa Amini and many others, the people of Iran have been rising over the last 100 days plus and are fighting back, seeking their fundamental rights. The world is watching, listening, and supporting the people of Iran and their call for the downfall of the regime. And folks, friends, colleagues, let me be clear. We're not in a pursuit of reform. We are demanding an end to this violent and evil regime, and that time has come, and that time is now. Although we can't bring back the victims, we can ensure that their memory lives on. Our government created a scholarship fund in honor of 57 Canadians and students who will never have the opportunity to complete their education. I announced alongside Premier Ford and MPP Gamari in 2020, and most recently renewed in January 2022, to show Ontario's commitment to remembering and honoring the bright individuals that were taken away from all of us. People are hurting across the world, our country, and our province. There are protests, rallies, and vigils being held around the world, including cities right across the wonderful country that we live in. People are feeling the pain and loss from this tragedy as deeply as they did when this tragedy happened 3 years ago. And although 3 years have passed, we will not ease our efforts in getting the answers and justice you, as loved ones, deserve. No matter how long it takes, we will not let the Iranian regime get away with this. Justice will truly be served when this regime ceases to exist. And I want to conclude with a poem again by Rumi. When you go through a hard period, when everything seems to oppose you, when you feel you cannot even bear one more minute, never give up, because it is the time and place that the course will divert. To Hamid Smailian and the Association of Families of PS752, the countless volunteers, and all the families, I am so sorry for your loss. As difficult as it has been for all of you, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for making sure that you stand up for every single family that was affected by this through your hard and relentless efforts to pursue justice for the families. And I want you to know, and as you continue to fight for truth and justice, I stand with you. All of us stand with you, shoulder to shoulder. And to the brave Iranian men and women who are now fighting for their fundamental rights, which they deserve, we stand with you. Bravo to you. Zan, Zendegi, Azadi. Thank you.
I now invite the Honourable Pierre Poilievre, Leader of the Official Opposition of Canada, to the stage.
Thank you.
grieving families, Association of Victims, Prime Minister, ministers, His Worship the Mayor, members of Parliament, including Anna Roberts and my own Deputy Conservative Leader, Melissa Landsman. 3 years ago today, a flight started just like any other, but ended like no other. The lives of 176 innocent, brilliant people brought to a tragic end. One great maxim is that every human life is its own universe, and in their universes we're brothers, sisters, children, parents, friends, most of all, mothers. We see those mothers here today. We think of 176 mothers, many of whom would have buried their faces in their hands in the unmatched agony of losing a child. 85 of those souls were Canadians, either citizens or permanent residents. They were our people. Our duty to honor their memory and to ensure that justice is served in their murder. Today, His Majesty's loyal opposition stands with all of you, with all Canadians of all political stripes, in pursuit of that justice. And we are indeed pleased that finally the wheels of justice have begun slowly to turn. But there remains more to do. Let us be honest. It is important, and we support imposing sanctions, but we must enforce those sanctions. We must ensure that everyone on that list is actually punished. We must ensure that every member of the regime, right up to the very top, both the political and the religious leaders, are added to the list of the sanctioned. It is good to call out the IRGC as an evil terrorist organization, but it is appalling that today, 3 years after this organization murdered 85 of our own people, it is perfectly legal in Canada for this organization to operate. We must ban the IRGC as a terrorist organization now. It is outrageous that our own citizens, our people in this country, feel afraid to go out into their neighborhoods, that they have gone into gyms and seen a police chief from Tehran who is in charge of the Tehran police force when that organization killed a Canadian woman, Zara Kazemi. It is an outrage. It is an outrage that members of Parliament receive phone calls from their constituents who tell them that they are afraid to live in their own homes because individuals linked to the regime or perhaps directly involved in perpetrating crimes in Iran are now living safely here and enjoying the plunder that they stole from the Iranian people. And we, as the official opposition, call for criminal investigations to identify and, where possible, expel from Canada anyone who is linked to these actions. And we need stronger laws to end foreign interference in this country. Powerful foreign regimes use agents here on the ground to terrorize the diaspora populations and influence our politics. They must be called out, they must be prosecuted, and they must be expelled from our country so diaspora populations can feel safe here in their new homeland. And we must push harder and further at all international fora to prosecute the criminals and to hold them accountable, both in our words and in our deeds. Only when all those who were part of this mass murder are prosecuted will justice in this case be done. But this case is only one example of this regime's many crimes that span multiple decades. We, as His Majesty's loyal opposition, believe that justice will only be done when there is a new and democratic regime in Iran that represents the Iranian people. The values for which you strive, they are not just Canadian values or Iranian values or American or English values. These are human values. The values of woman, life, freedom, these values of individual dignity, the right to speak without fear, these are inscribed on every single human heart. It is our duty as Canadians to lock arms with all of you and with people all around the world to bring about that day when the people of Iran are able to live up to the full splendor of their potential, to live in a free land where they have the self-determination to decide for themselves. That day, and only that day, will justice truly have been done for the 176 victims and for the countless other people imprisoned under this regime. Let us continue. Let us go forward with hope and optimism that that change is possible. Let us bring democracy to the peoples of the world, and let us free Iran. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
I now invite His Worship John Tory, Mayor of Toronto, to the stage.
Well, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, I'm near the end of a long list, but it doesn't mean my remarks today are any less heartfelt, and it's my honour and my privilege to be here with my colleague, Councillor Lily Cheng, and I'm sure that in saying the words that I do, I'm speaking on behalf of all 3 million people who live in the City of Toronto, and being here today to honour the lives lost, people who were murdered, victims on Flight 752, to offer comfort and support to those loved ones and friends and colleagues they left behind, and to express our absolute continuing solidarity with this warm and accomplished and dedicated, but still grieving and yet very determined community. I've gone to a number of these different commemorations over time, and I went to one a couple of weeks ago that in that case was dedicated to the brave doctors and medical personnel who are actually being imprisoned for treating people who are protesting. And I thought, and every time I see the pictures go by, I think that these are people that are among the best and the brightest, and of course that particularly applies to the victims whose pictures we've taken today. But I thought to myself as I sat there and I spoke later about these doctors, what kind of a regime would actually imprison people who are treating others, regardless of what they were doing? Here in Canada, you are brought before the authorities if you don't treat someone who's suffering. And then I thought to myself, the answer to that is easy. What kind of regime would do that? One that deserves to be gone as soon as possible. When you see these photographs, you're reminded over and over again of the fact many were students and many were people who just hadn't had a chance to see where their dreams would take them, but they were among our best and among our brightest, and I'm sure that's true of those who are not Canadians or permanent residents. And so today it isn't just the tragedy and the atrocity and the injustice and the loss of life that we mark, it's the loss of opportunity. Opportunity to be all that they wanted to be, the very essence of being Canadian, that you can be here and be anything that you want to be. I was anxious to put my own remarks into a slightly more personal context, and so I phoned one of those who was left behind, Nima Yassiani. His fiancée, Shadi Jamshidi, whose picture was here a moment or two ago, was killed in the attack on Flight 752. And I thank him for our very moving conversation, and I hope that what he told me is shared by many of the others here today. He told me that his fiancee's name, Shadi, meant joy and that she was the embodiment of her name. He said Shadi was ambitious, both personally and professionally, and wouldn't close any doors on herself. She was positive, accomplished, had a dream of starting a small business beyond her profession as an engineer. She was researching this small business opportunity when her life was taken. She energized all of those around her as the joy of their lives. And this is just a small snapshot of one of the people we lost. But what of her fiancé Nima, left behind together with family and friends, as so many here today have been? He told me that while they say the passage of time heals, he doesn't know how that's possible when you have no closure. Nima says that you have a hole in your heart, that the pain never goes away, but you're always certain that it's there and you're not certain why. He says in a way that you want to forget, but you can't. If there was anything positive that came, and there were many things from that conversation that I was privileged to have with Nima, it is in the fact that this man told me the work of the association seeking justice for the victims of Flight 752 gives him purpose. And I say to Ahmed and to the association, all the people, including all of you, thank you for that, because you're giving purpose to the lives of all of those people left behind. He feels that by working with the association, he is doing something for Shadi, who is gone. He says the association has become a circle of support for him. And so, as with many conversations, you can have it with a single person. This one held many lessons for me, and I assume for us all. Yes, the attack on Flight 752 was about terror and illegal behavior, but more so than that, it was about people. People denied a chance to live out their lives, people we must remember and pay tribute to as often as we can. Time does not heal everything. For this community or for those left behind, and even where there is healing, there is usually a scar. It doesn't matter how much time passes. That pain, the hole in the heart, they don't go away. That is the reality of being one of those left behind when we lost the victims that we honor today. And so today is a day to honor the memory of those victims, to show support for those they left behind, to try and help them heal those holes in their hearts. But today is also an important day for us to reaffirm our absolute solidarity with the victims and the survivors and this entire community in demanding justice. It's not just because we know, as a country, as elected officials, as Canadians, and as human beings, that justice is deserved and has not yet been achieved. It is also because we, too, can pay tribute to the victims and help give purpose and comfort to the survivors by making sure that we, as a country and as individuals, leave no stone unturned in demanding and ultimately achieving justice for those victimized directly by the attack on Flight 752, and for the people left behind, and for all Canadians, and, for that matter, for the world. Whether it's tyrants in Iran or Russia, we must continue to lead in standing up to these governments and their leaders who completely reject our cherished commitment to democracy and human rights. And while mayors don't have that much to do with foreign affairs, I want you to know that beyond commending the Government of Canada for what they have done so far to seek justice and to stand up for this community and for the victims and those left behind, as mayor, I will support anything they do, any measure they undertake to bring that justice about and to bring it about as quickly as possible. I'll just conclude on this note, and it's something known to all of you and to all of us who are here today to speak, to provide you with a degree of comfort and caring. You know, I know, because I've had an incredibly warm and long-standing relationship with this community, there is nothing wrong with the people who live in Iran. And we know there's actually nothing wrong with the country itself if you look at its rich and incredible history. So we know that the only conclusion we can reach, if you know there's nothing wrong with the people and there's nothing wrong with the country, is that it is the regime that is the problem here. It is tyrannical, it is undemocratic, it disrespects human rights, it disrespects its own people, and it continues to do that to this day. And that's why we're all better off, every single person who lives in the world, if they're gone. An attack which traumatized and tore the heart out of one community in our country, and the attacks which have followed, these are attacks on us all. And that is why we're all here today together. May the victims rest in peace, and may our determination remain absolutely firm. Thank you very much.
سعید کدخدازاده کاشانی 29 بهاره کرمی مقدم 33 رحیمه کاتبی 20 آزاده کاوه 40 فاطمه کازرانی 32 فروغ خادم 38 اولگا کوبیوک 61 امیل لینبرگ 7 اریک لینبرگ 9 میکائیل لینبرگ 40 راهله لینبرگ 37 فیروزه مدنی 54 سیاوش مقصودلو استرآبادی 43 پریا مقصودلو استرآبادی 15 فاطمه محمودی 30 اولنا ملاخووا 38 مریم ملک 39 فرشته ملکی دیزجه 47 سارا ممانی 36 محمد جواد میانجی 27 محمد معینی 35 راستین مقدم 9
مهدی محمدی 20 هیوا مولانی 38 کردیا مولانی 1 امیر مرادی 21 آروین مرتب 35 سهیلا مشرف رضوی مقدم 55 دریا موسوی بفروئی 14 دورینا موسوی بفروئی 9 پدرام موسوی بفروئی 47 الناز نبیعی 30 فرزانه نادری 38 مهرداد نقیب لاهوتی 44 زهرا نقیبی 32 میلاد نهاوندی 34 آرنیکا نیازی 8 آرسام نیازی 11 فرهاد نیکنام 44 علیرضا نوروزی 19 غزل نوریان 26 آلما اولادی 27 رجا امید بخش 23 امیر حسین اویسی 41 Asal Owaisi 6
Hello again. این آهنگ بعدی رو تقدیم می‌کنیم به تمام خانم‌های زن‌های ایرانی که برای آزادیشون جنگیدن و هنوزم دارن می‌جنگن. اتفاقا پدرم از واشنگتن اومده و پدرم شعر این آهنگ رو خودش ساخته.
همیشه بوده باورم که با تو من برابرم. اگه قوی بازوهات به جاش منم یه مادرم. نقاب و پاره میکنم، خیال چاره میکنم. شب سیاه و تیره رو پر از ستاره میکنم. ندا منم، هوا منم، صدای نسل ما منم. اگرچه بستی بالم و رهاتر از رها منم.
I just want to give my condolences. I really don't know what to say when it comes to singing and it comes to music. I'm much better, but we will never forget, and it really was an honor that I have been able to have been included in this. And this is an event that has affected every single one of us. All of our hearts are broken. And anyway, thank you for letting me be here today.
فاطمه پسابند 17. آیشه پورقادری 36. منصور پورجم 53. ناصر پورشعبان اوشیبی 53. آرش پورزرابی 26. شهاب رعنا 36. Huger Rahimi, an unborn child. Jivan Rahimi 3. Razgar Rahimi 38. Nasim Rahmanifar 25. Nilufar Razaqi Khamsi 45. Hossein Rezai 20. Mahdi Rezai 19. Saba Saadat 21. Sara Saadat 23. Zainul Abedin Saadat 29. Kasra ساعتی 47 الون صادقی 29 سهند صادقی 39 آنیسا صادقی 10 میر محمد مهدی صادقی 43
ندا صدیقی 50 نیلوفر صدر 61 سید نوجان صدر 11 امیر حسین سعیدی نیا 25 پگاه سفرپور 20 محمد حسین ساکت 33 محسن صلاحی 31 محمد صلاح 32 ساجده سراییان 26 حمید رضا ستاره کوکب 31 شیدا شادخو 41 مسعود شاطرپور خیابان 31 پانیز سلطانی 29 سعید طهماسبی خادم اسدی 35 مهدی تاجیک 20 شهرام تاجیک 21 الینا تربای 31 عفیفا تربای 55 دریا توقیان 22 آراد زارعی 17 مایا زیبایی 15 سام زکایی 42 Thank you.
I thank the mothers of victims aboard PS752 for such courageous displays of resiliency as they recite the names of all their loved ones they lost. One of the most distinguished figures among the Iranian diaspora is Dr. Payam Akhavan, world-renowned human rights lawyer and former UN prosecutor at The Hague. Dr. Akhavan, a University of Toronto professor, is a senior advisor on the PS752 tragedy for the International Coordination Group, Canada, Ukraine, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. I now invite Dr. Payam Akhavan to the stage. Dr. Akhavan will be speaking in his personal capacity today.
خانواده‌های عزیز, Honorable Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, distinguished guests, dear friends and colleagues. 3 years ago on this day, just before the break of dawn, over the skies of Tehran, many dreams were turned into ashes. Families eager to greet their loved ones with flowers at the airport would instead place flowers on their graves. Today, we honor those precious lives. We remember them because those who live on in our memory are not truly lost. They are like stars in distant galaxies that continue to shine long after their extinction. I express my heartfelt condolences to the families. Your loved ones are our loved ones. از صمیم قلب به خانواده‌های گرامی تسلیت می‌گویم. عزیزان شما عزیزان ما هستند. As we share your grief, we also witness the astonishing light of the human spirit shining in the darkness. Beneath the terrible anguish, the outpouring of love and compassion has been a fountain of healing and hope. And your dignity and resilience in the face of despair is an example for us all. Your lives have been shattered, yet you have organized and championed justice with relentless determination. Your moral leadership has become an inspiration for millions in Iran who seek a better future, a future in which human life is sacred, a future in which those in power respect the inherent rights of every human being. Have no doubt that history is on the side of those who seek righteousness. Even as you're full of sorrow, have no doubt that with unity of purpose, with a shared humanity, justice shall prevail. Like the phoenix rising from the ashes, greater, more powerful, more beautiful than before. در تاریکی ما شاهد نور شگفت انگیز بشریت هستیم. سرانجام عدالت پیروز می شود. ایران از خاکستر خود برخواهد خاست. I take this occasion, speaking in my personal capacity, to express heartfelt gratitude to the government and people of Canada for standing with the PS752 families, and indeed standing with the people of Iran as they struggle for freedom and justice. Thank you in particular for giving me the honor of and privilege of serving the families in their quest for truth and justice. We have come very far, but there is still a long way to go. Your unwavering commitment is deeply reassuring. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Premier ministre, Madame la ministre des Affaires étrangères et le conseiller spécial Ralph Goodale pour votre soutien indispensable. Thank you for your leadership. Je voudrais également remercier l'équipe juridique d'Affaires mondiales Canada pour leur travail acharné sur cette affaire. It is not lost on us Iranian Canadians that in our country of origin, many of us would be in the torture chambers of the Islamic Republic or sentenced to death before the revolutionary courts. We are proud citizens of Canada. We celebrate the home that has welcomed us, but we cannot turn our back on our brothers and sisters who suffer in Iran. In their protests against the murder of Mahsa Amini and countless others, in their chants of woman, life, liberty, we hear a cry that cannot go unanswered. Zan, Zendegi, Azadi. The sympathy and solidarity of fellow Canadians has been a defining moment in understanding what it means to belong to this great nation. Exile is a longing to belong, an emotional space that we confuse with a physical place. In this exemplary expression of sympathy, we truly feel at home among our Canadian family. I also thank sincerely the governments of Sweden and the United Kingdom for their support. And I take this opportunity to express my special appreciation to the government of Ukraine. Despite confronting a horrific war of aggression, it has stayed the course in pursuit of accountability. Madam Ambassador Yuliya Kovaliv, we stand with the righteous struggle of your people for liberation. Slava Ukraini. The appalling scenes of violence that we witness in the world today are a fundamental challenge to the rule of international law, to the sacred principles enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations. Holding Iran accountable for the intentional destruction of Flight PS752 is an important, indeed a historic step forward in eradicating the culture of impunity that has allowed terror and tyranny to prevail for so long. But we cannot stop there, because the list of atrocities is very long. We must stand with all the victims of this murderous regime. It is time to put an end to these atrocities once and for all. In recent times, there have been promising developments. On July 14th of last year, the Stockholm District Court in Sweden sentenced Hamid Nouri to life imprisonment for his role in the mass execution of thousands of political prisoners in 1988. Nouri was assisting the so-called Death Commission, whose members included Ebrahim Raisi, the current president of the Islamic Republic. On November 24th, furthermore, the United Nations Human Rights Council established the first ever fact-finding mission for Iran, with a mandate to identify those most responsible for crimes against humanity. This movement for accountability reflects the will of the Iranian people. They will no longer allow their voices to be silenced. Thousands have joined us today in Iran and across the world to demand justice. The tide has turned, and it should serve as a warning for those with so much blood on their hands. Our message is clear. Stop the executions. Stop the torture. Stop killing children in the streets. We know who you are, and soon you will face the consequences of your actions. You will be brought to justice, whether in The Hague or before the courts of a democratic Iran. زمستان است ولی همه جا بوی بهار می آید. به امید روزی که به جای سوگواری در غربت در ایران آزاد با هم جشن بگیریم. Thank you.
The downing of Ukrainian Flight PS752 was not the first crime perpetrated by the Islamic Republic regime, and it is not the last. Their crimes began long before PS752 and shall continue. On their way to power, the leaders of this Islamic regime burned a cinema filled with an audience. From the very early days of seizing power, they sent officials of the previous government to the gallows en masse. Injustice and violence has been the currency of this regime. They then began to systematically arrest, torture, and oppress members of opposition groups. They put religious minorities under unbearable pressure, and their extensive persecution of the Baha'is led to countless executions throughout the years. They sent children to a war that could have been ended very early on. During the late 1980s, thousands of political prisoners were summarily executed following trials that lasted mere minutes. During the years following the Iran-Iraq War, and while many Western countries were scrambling for trade deals with them, the Islamic Republic regime conducted countless assassinations and bombings around the world. During the fall of 1998, politically motivated murders of artists, writers, and dissenters reached an unprecedented peak. In 1999, widespread oppression and murder of student leaders wreaked havoc in the academic community. During those same years, they systematically infiltrated Western institutions and media with their supporters and apologists to whitewash their crimes, a nefarious plan that continues to this day. In 2009, hundreds who were protesting election fraud were murdered on the streets or sentenced to lengthy prison terms. They were even cheating in their own sham elections, and ultimately, innocent civilians were the victims of their nefarious power games. In the winter of 2017, they violently suppressed peaceful protests. These persecutions were often conducted in secret. For decades before social media and the availability of phone cameras, these persecutions happened throughout the country without being noticed. The Islamic regime decimated trade unions and sent their leaders and activists to prison. Many of the lesser-known individuals like Sattar Beheshti died under torture. It is meaningless to speak of political parties or any reasonable political discourse in the Islamic Republic regime. A more accurate description is that various government-linked mafia entities are often competing against each other. Deep-rooted powerful regime figures fight behind the scenes while innocent citizens are the victims of their rivalries. All the while, regime leaders and their oligarchy live lavish lives in Western countries. The systematic damage done to Iran's environment throughout the past 4 decades is in itself an unimaginable crime spree. Rivers, lakes, underground water reservoirs, and vast forests throughout the country have been destroyed, and Iran is in danger of drought. Millions of Iranians have been forced to immigrate over the past 40 years. Only close to 500,000 of those reside in Canada. In November of 2019, yet another mass murder took place in total silence. Within a matter of 4 days, when the regime shut down the internet, thousands were murdered in cold blood. The protests were initially against the rapid hike in gas prices, but within hours, the foundations of the regime became the object of protests in many major countries around the country. The rulers ordered their security forces to indiscriminately open fire upon innocent civilians. On January 8, 2020, the Ukrainian passenger airline was shot down within 3 minutes after taking off from the Tehran International Airport. Navid Afkari, who was an Iranian wrestling champion, was executed following a show trial in the summer of 2020. Ruhollah Zam, a Paris-based journalist, was abducted from Iraq and executed shortly thereafter. This was not the first instance of state-sponsored kidnapping by the Islamic regime. During the COVID pandemic, the leader of the Islamic Republic issued a decree banning importation of British and American vaccines. Over 700,000 Iranian citizens fell victim to those delusional decisions. Throughout the past 40 years, the regime maliciously interfered in the politics of the region and extended military operations throughout the Middle East. The regime has the blood of many innocent citizens in the neighboring countries and even Ukraine on their hands. On September 16, 2022, Mahsa Amini was murdered while in the custody of the infamous Tehran morality police. That was the day when the world took notice of the fury and frustration of Iranians towards decades of oppression, discrimination, inequality, and oppression. That was the day the world stared into the eyes of a revolution that united citizens under the slogan, "Woman, Life, Freedom." Many more have been murdered since that fateful September day. Thousands are in prison from Baluchistan to Tehran to Mashhad. The revolution rages on, even as the regime ruthlessly executes many who are arrested. The very image of resistance in the faces of fellow citizens gives the strength to the people who take to the streets in solidarity. Yes, Iran is the land of beautiful steppes, an ancient culture, and tall standing mountains. Yes, Iran is the land of epic literature that inspires hardworking people, and yes, Iran is the land of beautiful rivers and lakes. Islamic Republic regime, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and the warmongers in power do not represent the people of Iran. We expect that today's revolution for woman life freedom be recognized by the people, governments, and media around the world. A world without the Islamic Republic regime is a better, more beautiful, and more peaceful world. The Iranian people will make this dream a reality as justice prevails.
Mir Shekar 2. Kabedani 12. Yasser Shahu Zehi 16. Daniel Shah Bakhsh 11. Jaber Shiru Zehi 12. Omid Sarani 13. Abdullah Muhammadpur 16. Abul Fazl Adine Zade 17. Abul Fazl Banu 17. Adel Kuchak Zei 15. Ali Barahui 14. Ali Muzaffari Salanguch 17. Amin Marufi 16. Amir Hossein Basati 15. Amir Mehdi Farrokhipur 17. Amir Ali Fuladi 16. Armin Sayyadi 17. Artin Rahmani 13. Bahauddin Vaisi 16. Danial Pabandi 16.
Ehsan Ali Bazi 16. Hasti Narui 7. Jawad Pushe 11. Karavan Qadir Shakeri 16. Kian Pirfalak 9. Kumar Daroftade 16. Mehdi Hazrati 17. Mehdi Kabuli Kafshgiri 15. Mehdi Musavi 16. Mehdad Malik 17. Mobin Mirkazehi 14. Muhammad Amin Gomshad Zehi 17. Muhammad Iqbal Nayeb Zehi 16. Muhammad Hossein Kamandlu 17. محمد رضا سروری 14 محمد رخشانی 14 محمد زمانی 16 مونا نقیب 8 نیکا شاکرمی 17
نیما نوری 18 نیما شفق دوست 16 امید نارویی 15 امید سفرزهی 17 پارمیس همنوا 14 پارسا رضا دوست 17 پویا احمدپور 17 رضا کاظمی 16 صدف موحدی 17 سدیس کاشانی 14 سامر هاشمزهی 16 سارینا اسماعیل زاده 16 سارینا ساعدی 15 سپهر مقصودی 14 سیاوش محمودی 17 ستاره تاجیک 17 سوها اعتباری 12 یاسر بهادرزهی 17 زکریا خیال 16
The names that were recited are only the names of the children that were murdered in the last 90 days in Iran. It is with profound sadness and utmost disgust that I tell you that news has now spread that 23-year-old Mohammad Qobadlu and 20-year-old Mohammad Burughani have been transferred to solitary confinement and are awaiting their execution as we watch these videos. I look around this room, this venue, at all of you, women and men of politics. I look at each and every one of you. I look at this camera, wherever it is, at all of you who are watching us stream live. How many more photos, how many more names, how many more memorials are you going to have to attend before you do something about this? Please take your seats. Today at dawn, with the morning prayer, the Iranian Republic regime, Islamic regime, is going to execute 2 more young people of Iran. Families continue to shout, "We will never forgive and we will never forget." And I just hope that everyone else that can do something about this today, take action. I apologize for going off the script here. I now invite Mehran Aminian on the stage for his second performance. Thank you.
دار ما هستیم بسیار. خورشید از خواب پا شده، پنجره وا شده، فردا پیدا شده. انگار که شب رنگش پریده، پشتش خمیده، به ته رسیده. باید که پشت هم باشیم، یک صدا باشیم، چون رو از هم نپاشیم. با نفسگی روی تو، با توی موی تو، پشتمون دم به هم صدا، تا عطر آزادی، نغمه شادی، بپیچه باز توی دیروز راهی پر غمه، امروز پر از پیچ و خمه. با دست ما دست همه، فردا بهشت عالمه. دیروز راهی پر غمه، امروز پر از پیچ و خمه. با دست ما دست همه، فردا بهشت عالمه. به یاد قربانیان پرواز 752 به نام مهسا امینی، حدیث نجفی، نیکا شاکرمی، به نام محمد کرمی، محمد حسینی. نه بخشش، نه فراموشی، 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 نه we won't forgive. Okay? Thank you for being here. نبخشش، 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 نفراموشی، نبخشش. با نبخشش. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you both Mehran and Rana for your second performances. We embark upon the fourth year of absence of our loved ones, ever more determined, ever more energized to bring to justice those who took their lives. As the senseless bloodshed in Iran continues, we honor the heroism and sacrifices of all victims of the Iranian regime. Just yesterday, 2 young protesters were executed for protesting. The Association of Families of Flight PS752 stands with all families of these courageous men and women who have lost their precious lives in the fight for freedom and shouts for them, justice prevails. Thank you all for being here today. We will be holding a candlelight vigil shortly after the ceremony is concluded at the Mel Lastman Square. Please join us and light a candle. This concludes today's memorial. میهمانان عزیز، فقط به دلیل اینکه از نظر زمانی مقدار عقب هستیم تشکر میکنیم. اگر محبت کنید هر چه سریعتر به سمت میدان مل لستمن تشریف ببرید که برنامه اون طرف زودتر شروع بشه. متشکرم.